live. Okay, it says we're live. Let me just check Facebook. There's a delay. All right. Okay, we're live. Can you still hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, wait, I can't hear you. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm getting it. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Can you hear me? Is it?
Yes,
is there
I had
echo
to.
still?
I had to. No, I had to shut off
Yeah.
Facebook. I mean, YouTube. So that's what it was. All right, guys. So welcome to Stories from the Earth. This is going to be hopefully the first of many interviews with herbalists and healers. I'm starting out with my local herbalist, but you know, we can interview people from non-local places. Let's see who we've got. Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm going to be sort of switching back to YouTube to check the chat. And if you have any questions for Deanna, just hold them till the end, and we'll, you know, we'll get to them. Okay, so we'll start. So I'm gonna welcome my guest, and she is a professional vocalist, sound healer, dancer, teacher, community organizer, and certified holistic herbalist. That's my friend Deanna Rose. So,
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Hello, internet. So, yeah, I was just wanting to know if you would just tell us about you. Some, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Deanna Rose, and I've been living in Asheville, North Carolina, in the Blue Ridge Mountains for over 11 years. And I was born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee, but I came here when I was 18 for school. And that is actually where I got into herbalism. It was a work trade liberal arts college. And so after the first year I worked as a janitor. Then the next year I worked on the herb crew. And that's where I started learning herbalism. And so, yeah, my ancestors lived in this area, though, like back in the early 1900s. My grandmother was raised in outside of Asheville, and so I feel at home here in many ways. And yeah, so I do all sorts of things. I do sound healing. I do herbalism, and I do community organizing, and I like to have them kind of all dance together and benefit each other, and they weave together really nicely.
Yeah, they do. You know, it's all part of. You know, there's a lot of healing in. They're very sympathetic to each other. You
Mm-hmm.
know. So. Okay. So that's really cool that your ancestors are from this area. Mine, we are not from this area, but I still feel like incredibly connected. And I feel like I had like maybe some ancestors in the past that lived in like a similar, you know, area, and maybe in my relatives come from Eastern Europe. So I just something like I just feel like as soon as they moved me here when I was 9 from New York, I was just like, it just, I don't know, something clicked, and I was just like, yeah. And I just love it, and I keep, you know, it just feels very home-like, very familiar, very very like just familiar. Like, yeah.
Definitely. I think that's why we love it here, because obviously, like, you know, the Native Americans were the ones that are, this is truly their home, and we're grateful for that. And there's a lot of healing there to be done.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does feel like, I was talking with my mom about that yesterday, how our, you know, our real home really is, you know, in Scotland and England and Ireland. And I'm also from Eastern Europe, like in Russia too. So
Yeah.
I'm a mutt.
Yeah.
Ashkenazi Jew. And so I have all these different things going on. But yeah, I feel that like these hills and mountains and waters remind me of my distant ancestry's like real home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
also finding home within our bodies, and not longing for that distant home is a thing too.
Right. And there are a lot of plants that are very similar because the Europeans brought
Mm,
them over. So that might be part of it too.
definitely.
We have a comment. Hello. I'm going to mispronounce your name, and I'm so sorry, but welcome, Maharit Lenore. So thank you.
Hello.
Hello. It says, hi, Jennifer. Hi, Deanna. So I'm terrible at pronunciation, so I give my best. All right. So how did you get into herbalism? I know you did the herb crew, but like what maybe like prompted that interest, or did you have some like, or did you just like, I'm just gonna try it and see?
Yeah, so I grew up outside of Nashville. My dad was a big gardener, and so I grew up as a kid like just hanging out, you know, naked in the garden. But you know, but he grew a lot of vegetables, not herbs. It was all vegetables, and so I grew up in the garden, and he continued to have a garden through the whole time him and my mom raised me. But there wasn't much herbalism. My mom grew like a lavender plant and rosemary, but that was basically all that I had been introduced to. And so I like tea and stuff, but I never really thought about, I mean, in that Nashville, I didn't know any herbalists growing up, not one. And then once I went to college at Warren Wilson College, I was just talking to this woman about how I love to garden. And she was on the herb crew, and she said, you know what? She's like, I She was like, I think you were an herbalist in a past life. I think you need to come down to the herb garden. And I was like, what? I mean, I had never even
What are you talking about?
heard about past. I had never really thought about past.
Oh wow,
lives
okay.
At that
So that
point.
was
I was
like a new thing.
that was a whole new thing too. And I was like, okay, well, I'll come down to the herb garden. And so I went down to the herb garden. And I felt so at home, and just it felt so empowering to like know how to like take care of yourself and how to like learn about these different herbs, and it was really therapeutic to like see like an herb garden and see how the tea we drink grows. And so it opened up to this whole new world for me, and I think that really helped me get through college, and it helped me it just helped me with my mental health, helped me learn how to take better self-care. And so I feel really grateful for that. So that's how I got introduced, was just her having that intuition, which I felt was really on point. And so on that crew, it was nice because we had like a whole herbal library that we had access to. And so we had access to that. So we had, we'd have different students that would come down and they would have ailments, and we would go through the books with them, and we would explore, and we would kind of learn hands-on. Which was really nice. Yeah, so that was great. And then we also went to the herbal conferences, Southeast Women's Herbal Conference, which was amazing and life-changing. And so that's how I got into it.
That's That's awesome. I mean,
Mm.
I'm familiar, with the college you went to, and it's really cool school, and I love that they do that, and um, and that's a really great introduction to the herbs, and it's and a nice like non like it's a nice gentle way to learn, seeing somebody in a clinical setting, but sort of not learning, seeing someone with an issue, and then and trying to suss out what might be the herb for them, and
Yeah.
um, you know um, herbs are really different from Western medicine, because Western medicine is sort of this cookie cutter approach, everybody, one size fits all, but herbalism is one size fits none. So even when you're two people with the same ailment, you probably treat them with different herbs, and so it can get very complex. So that's
Definitely.
cool.
There's a lot of layers, and so
There's a
that's why
lot.
it makes it so much more personal,
Yeah,
because you really have to go from at a holistic approach. And
there's a lot of layers, and we're
yeah.
not really taught to think like that at
Mm-hmm.
all. You're sort of um, you're definitely learning a whole new way of thinking, and then also you can take that out, like you said, to the other aspects of your life and how you took care of yourself, and that's really cool.
Definitely.
Oh, hi, Raven. Hello. We have another viewer, Raven Morning Glory. Hello, welcome. Hi, guys.
Hello.
I don't know if you can see I don't think you can see the chat. I don't know. You can't see the chat, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. I was thinking of something else I was going to say. So what kind of what kind of herbalist are you? There's clinical herbalists, there's people who make medicines, some people do a little of both. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to after college, I took a couple years off from school, and I did more hands-on learning. I did farm internships and worked on vegetable farms, as well as worked with herbalists as kind of them being my mentors. And then I went to the Blue Ridge School of Herbal Medicine, and I became a certified holistic herbalist. So basically, my title is just a certified holistic herbalist. And so basically, I'm a community herbalist. I'm not a clinical herbalist. And so I basically just do community work, and but don't see people in a clinical way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And I used to make a lot of herbal medicine, and I sold that at farmers markets and at a grocery store, but I haven't done that in many years. I've been thinking about doing that again, but I kind of took a break, and yeah.
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 It's different. It's when you make the medicines and you sell them, because it's more about you get into a little more production and some other stuff, and even though you're making small batches, it's definitely a different thing. But I think a lot of herbalists either make their medicines to sell like that, or they make them, or they make up formulas for their clients.
Mm-hmm.
So usually,
Yeah, I've definitely done more casual stuff like that, where I have friends come to me and and ask or request I make certain things for them. And then also I used to run a community center out of my home.
Oh, okay.
And that's where I would have I would make big batches of teas for the events and give out the tea there, or and have different options. So that was more of just using herbalism to support other events.
Yeah, it's always nice to have some nice soothing tea when you're getting together with others. So what was the first herb you really felt like you connected to? Like the one that you just were like, really wanted to know more about, or you wanted to work with, wanted to, make medicines, take it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Learn
yeah.
history.
It actually was lavender because
Oh,
like I said, it was my mom grew lavender in her just like in a pot everywhere she
yeah.
lived. Even after my parents got divorced, she would always have a lavender plant, and there was something so soothing about it for like anxiety and just like grounding, and so I would make like little spray bottles of water and put lavender essential oil. I still do this, and then I'll just have that to spray for myself for relaxation and calmness. And I've always just loved the flowers, and that might be my French ancestry too, of like southern France, of like my dream life would be like living near lavender
Lavender.
fields. It's just my favorite scent altogether, and I put it in diffusers, and I love having it dried like in the house, and
Oh, yeah. I
and
saw some.
also
Oh, I just saw some at the grocery store the other day, and I was like, "Ooh, it's
I
on."
know it's so good. So yeah, when I used to work at a mental health center for teenage girls, and I was able to bring like
Okay,
lavender
yeah.
essential oil in there for them. And so if they were having like a panic attack or something, I would ask consent. I was like, would you like me to spray you with this lavender essential oil? And they would let me do that, and that always really helped kind of come back. It can help you come back to your body.
Yeah,
So
and that's when you get like, yeah, when you have a panic attack, you're literally like, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna just, I mean, I've had ones
definitely.
where like I just can't stand up anymore. Like, so I'm definitely familiar with that, and it's nice to have something that'll just kind of, yeah,
Definitely. And I used
yeah,
to, and sometimes I use stronger herbs for that as well.
yeah, depending on
Yeah.
the panic.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you hear me all right? Is it
yes,
okay?
I can. I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
Good.
I used to live by a lavender farm when I lived on the coast of northeastern North Carolina, up by like Kitty Hawk, and there
Nice.
was a lavender farm, and it was just gorgeous, So,
I love that area.
okay. Yeah, no, it was so cool because I've never lived by the beach before, and the thing I love about Asheville is it's so busy and there's so many things going on. Like it's just like it's just really busy. There's a lot of energy, and out there it's like quiet. It's very calm, very quiet. There's just kind of a lot of not too much. I mean, that area can get really busy in the summer because of the
Yeah.
tourists, but like just in general, there's a lot of places out there, and during the winter, it's just like there's just a calmness, and I've never, yeah. So and then that air is just the salt air, just sort of.
So nice. Yeah, I have
So,
friends from college that live out the direction. And I used to go
oh
every year
yeah.
to visit them, and
uh
I'm hoping I can make it this year at some point.
I hope so.
Right?
Yeah, it's kind of. I know when my parents were supposed to. My parents are in Texas, so they were supposed to come visit me, but they might not be able to come until, you know, sometime in 2021. So, because they're in their 70s, so I'm like, guys, just but it sort of put that. I think everyone is, having to stay closer to home, but hopefully you'll get out there. I haven't been back in a while because I lived by the mountains for so long, and when I got a chance to try to live by the ocean, I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then we came back here because there wasn't anything there, but I'm like, okay, but come back to Asheville, and so I just keep moving away, but then coming back. So
That's how it goes.
yeah.
This place can be like a magnet.
It can, and then also some people come and then they leave. They're like, no, it's not for me. So
Definitely.
um,
Definitely.
yeah. So you told us a little bit about your herbal education, but I was just wondering if you could do like a little more elaboration on what it was like.
Yeah.
You know, just like, yeah, because a lot of people, you know, are interested in studying herbs, and just what was your experiences and a little more about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, for sure. So I went to the Blue Ridge School of Herbal Medicine, and the founder of that is Corey Pines Shane, and he's a wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful man, and he also volunteers with the Blue Ridge Healers Without Borders,
Which we will
and
get to. We're
which
going to
we'll get
talk
to.
about that.
Yeah,
Yes,
we'll get
we're
to
going to talk
later.
about that.
And so I went to the Blue Ridge School of Herbal Medicine, and it was it was from April until October. And so it was really hands-on. It was 2 days a week during that whole time. And the great thing about it is that there's so many different teachers. And so you get a wide variety of different teachers with all different backgrounds and different genders and different levels. Like some very scientific approaches, some very energetic approaches, some very hands-on, some very hands-off. So you had the variety, which I really, really liked. And we also did 3 different field trips where we would go for a week together and go into like United Plant Savers together, and got a tour there. And
Did you go to the Goldenrod Sanctuary? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the one in Ohio.
Yeah, Ohio.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
yeah, so
oh, sorry. I just wanted to tell everyone that it's very beautiful. If you haven't gone to the United Plant Savers Golden Seal Sanctuary, go. You know, I mean, especially if you're interested in woodland medicinals like ginseng. They have, if you go in like the fall and August, they have beautiful goldenrods and bloodroot. Ginseng. What's the other one? The other forest medicinals. Anyway, there's a bunch.
Yeah, and if you all don't know about United Plant Savers, it was a great resource of knowing what herbs are endangered, and so what not to harvest and what not to purchase. And they can also, you know, they can also teach you about different herbs that are similar, that are more are less endangered or are cultivated. Or they can teach you how to grow endangered herbs so that you can grow it yourself.
Yes.
So,
yes. Yes. Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, yeah, it's great. They're such a wonderful place. And so, yeah, so we went to 3 different field trips, and so it was just really nice to have that just like immersion where you barely looked at your phone, like you were just like with the plants, with your community, diving deep into the herbalism and going to different farms, different herbalists, and talking with them and see how they approach places and in many different climates, which is fun as well. And they became like family. Like I feel like it was the closest people I felt so close to them, more than I felt in really any community, because of the plants opened our hearts in levels we had never had our hearts open, and healed us in ways and like brought our vulnerabilities out, and it really connected us, and we were really just loved each other so much. And that was also a really beneficial healing perk of going to that school. And now we're all kind of dispersed around the United States. So we're, which is great. I mean, I miss them dearly. I wish we could just all live on land together. But it is important to have that medicine spread out and not just in Asheville. And so that's really important, kind of little acupuncture points in the world. But so yeah, that was really beneficial and helpful to solidify the herbal knowledge. And it's just great having many different teachers. I always like having many different approaches. I've always valued schools that have more than just one teacher. So
yeah, because you get a lot of different perspectives. Sort of like, I guess more so like in college, than high school. I feel that you would get those different teachers, different ways of teaching, different ways of like looking at the subject, and you know, and and then you can help you find um, your way of looking at it and your perspective through, you know, through the different
Definitely.
perspectives. And I mean, especially with herbalism, it's you know, it's definitely more mainstream than it's ever been, but it's also still kind of still under the surface. It's not, you know, I'm still um, yeah, so I think it's still kind of underground, and I don't know, there are pockets of people that just, you know, don't really know anything about herbalism, and
Yeah.
so like I'm saying it's good to, so you're you know, if you were coming to that school with that experience, you would be exposed to those ideas, and so
Yeah, it's definitely important to like know who you're speaking to, and that's like, so you know, if I'm like, if I know I'm going to be speaking to teaching a class, there are people that are kind of outside of the bubble of the normal like lingo, I'll speak differently. And so having many different teachers has taught me how to approach all
yeah,
different
okay,
types of learners and all different types of communities. And so it's nice to have that education where some people I'm like, yeah, let's just jump into energetic medicine and flower essences.
other
And
people
some
are
people
like,
are like not ready for
no.
that yet, which is okay.
Yeah,
Like you have to like gradually introduce people to things. So
yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
it helped me kind of feel more well-rounded in that, and also just more aware of. But yeah, it's definitely time to you know, branch out herbalism into the mainstream, into all types of people, because all types of people can benefit from it.
I think
And
so.
especially with our healthcare system in the United States failing us in many ways, and people losing their health care with not having work. Um, and so, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. Just want to say hello, Heather. Welcome. It's my friend Heather.
Hello.
Hello. She's um, and I just want to say again, so I said it at the beginning, but we have more people. If you have any questions for Deanna, please hold them for the end, and then I'll ask for your questions. So, but yeah, I was just, my friend and I. She has 5 acres of land, and I worked with her in worked together in uh, basically the supplement department of a health food store. Um,
Nice.
and so and she has a little store in Canton. A little she has herbs and supplements and everything else. But anyway, so but we were discussing and thinking about like I was thinking about where like herbalism can fit. It doesn't. I feel like it's sort of there was some point where it had a place in our lives, and then it lost its place. But I still think it's really important. I think that a lot of other people feel like it still has value, and um, how do we bring it back into more of the front of people's lives so they could utilize it, because I really feel like it's an important tool, um, you know, and yes, especially with our healthcare system. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not a substitute when you need a doctor, you
No.
know, definitely not, but just like acupuncture and just like maybe like chiropractor, just like massage, it's like very complementary. And, you know, a lot of times um, an herb would be very helpful to, yeah.
Yeah,
And that,
I think it can, the reason why it has, you know, it went away obviously through like witch burnings and and so we have a lot of ancestral healing to do around allowing ourselves to dive into this medicine, because we have wounds around um, being persecuted for connecting to herbs,
Yeah.
because there is power. There's people can have power over us if we don't know how to take care of us ourselves. And so if we can become empowered when we can learn how, like, know like what herbs to take and where we don't rely on bigger systems. And so I think that there's a lot of ancestral healing to do around allowing ourselves to dive even deeper into herbalism. So, but yeah, I think it's very important because most of all of our distant ancestors were connected to the earth and were connected to herbalism from whatever culture. I believe
All
most
cultures.
cultures were connected to the earth at some point, and then there was some wounding where, in some form, we were taken away from the earth or our lands, and so I feel like these times are really calling us to reconnect and to slow down and to intuitively listen, because anyone can intuitively know what plants they need. They don't always need someone else to, even an herbalist, to tell them. They can be like, gosh, this like rose is really drawing
Right.
to me, and oh, I just had my heart broken, and how can I like make, how can I use this herb? Like even just smelling it is healing. Like you don't even have
Right.
you don't even have to intake take medicine for
Right.
it to be working
You
for you.
can do essential oils in a diffuser.
Mm-hmm.
You can, you can make a honey, which is really easy.
Yeah,
Um,
and I used to not even I used to not even like the smell of rose, which is really funny because now it's one of my favorite herbs, and
and
I've changed my last name to it. But like I went to this meditation, and this woman asked me to hold rose petals in my hand,
oh,
and all of a sudden I felt this like surge come into my heart, and like I just felt this like healing start to happen during the meditation just from holding the rose in my hand.
wow.
So
That's cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. As long as you know that the herb is safe,
Yes.
and you properly identified it, like that's really all you need to do. A lot of the herbs that are medicinal are also like a lot of common kitchen herbs, like spices that we use. So you can
Like
just even,
oregano.
yeah,
Oregano
thyme.
is super antiviral.
Good for, you can get oregano oil to take it health food store, but you can also just use it in your food. So the medicine that a lot of, you could do herbal medicine and you could just cook with these spices. So it can be that simple, or you can, do a tincture formula, and so you could get, there's a whole wide range depending on like the need, I think, of what you're, and then,
Yeah, because sometimes energetic dosages are even stronger, like flower essences, like Bach remedies. That's
mhm.
most common. Where just like a couple drops is actually a lot stronger than like a whole lot. And then there's some things where it needs to be more condensed to really work.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah. Heather's like oregano oil question mark. Yes. I look it up, Heather. Um, yeah, just if you Google oregano oil, it's something really common. People take it in the oil or they take it in capsules. Um, and
and that's a really strong dosages. So with the oil, you
yes,
just take a couple drops.
yes, and it's like a little tiny bottle, and it does tend to be pricey. So just on a side note, um, it's a it's a pricey one, and I'm not sure why. Maybe the extraction process is expensive to do. Gaia Herbs makes like a liquid gel cap. It's a very good company. So just just an aside, but there's also like a reg, I forget what it's called, but there's also companies that make oils. I have lots of oregano growing. Okay, so Heather's my friend, but she has a pretty good garden. You can probably get a lot of the benefits just from eating oregano as a spice, regularly in your food. Just especially if you're not sick, like if you're just trying to like maintain your health. I haven't really worked with it, so I'm just like maybe would that be a
I think it's great
to take
oregano. I think for preventative, I think it's great just in foods, and I've used it. I've used the oil personally when I've had the flu, and it's really helped shorten the flu. And so I would use it in higher dosage. But as prevention, I think it's just fine just to eat it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And oh gosh, I keep losing my train of thought. I'm like,
you're doing great.
And I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, what was that?
You're doing great.
Thank you. It's a little. The interview process is just slightly different from our normal herbal book club, but let's see. But there, hopefully, I'll remember what I was going to say. It was about oregano. And it was about so something about. Maybe I'll remember it. So, is there anything that you were interested in learning about more? Like you went to school for herbalism. Is there any other area of herbalism that you're interested in diving deeper into or expanding upon?
I'm actually wanting to dive more deep into Ayurvedic medicine.
Okay.
And so we had like introduction classes to it in the herbs, in the school I went to, but we didn't go super, super deep. And so I would like to at some point go a lot deeper with that Ayurvedic medicine, Eastern medicine, learn different formulas, and also learn more about like my specific body type and what herbs and foods benefit that more.
Because so Ayurvedic, for anyone who doesn't know, is from Indian system, and there's also traditional Chinese medicine, which is from China. Those are the two sort of other systems. We're primarily talking today about Western herbalism, which is sort of like, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, it's sort of like a hodgepodge, because we had a system here in the United States before the pharmaceutical companies and all that happened, and most of the doctors were actually herbalists, and then there was a big shift. And then I think in the 70s, 60s, it got kind of reconstituted, but we've pulled in these other systems in some form. So you'll hear Western herbalists talk about like energetics, talk about the Pitta and the Vata, which is the body types from the Ayurvedic. Yeah, that's cool. That would be great. I had when I went to herb school, one of my classmates was an Ayurvedic herbalist, and she was often talking about that. And so it's
I'm feeling really drawn to Eastern medicine on many different levels, and like wanting to dive into Ayurvedic as well as like Kundalini yoga, as well as like singing, sound healing. And I do sound healing, but like going even deeper in that way. And because they have just been doing it for so long that they really know what they're doing. And
yeah, because these systems are because we, maybe have a couple hundred years here in this country. And I know that people who immigrated from Europe brought their herbalism with them, but I feel like that's gotten kind of lost in our history. And but like in China and India, they have thousands of years. So and I'm really fascinated with the 5-element theory in Chinese traditional medicine, and I think that would be something I would like to know more about. I've taken a couple of mini classes, and it's just amazing how like all they have elements, and they connect with the body system, and then they have like the system here. If it's compromised, it affects the two systems before and after, before it and after it. And I'm like, well, that's so cool, like because our bodies are complex, but they're like, they developed a system to like make it kind of simple almost, but and you could see the cause and effect and everything else, and also like I've gone to acupuncture, and I've always done well in Chinese herbs and everything else, so that's
Yeah, I love acupuncture. Acupuncture is really helpful.
Yeah, that's cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite herbal book or books? Our authors. I know it's hard to narrow it down.
Yeah, it's really hard. One of my favorite authors is Rosemary Gladstar, and she has many different herbal books, and she's really she's a really good introductory.
This is one of her
herbalist.
books.
Yes, that's one of the that one.
This is one of a really good one. You can see it's falling apart, and that's how you know it's a good herb book.
And she's such a wonderful human. Like
she is.
Like I've met her in person, and she's such a wonderful human. And at the herbal conferences, and so she's really great to support. And she has, she has several different books, and I also this book. It's like a whole encyclopedia. It's called Natural Remedies Encyclopedia. It's by Vance Farrell and Harold M. Sharon, MD.
Okay.
And it's kind of out there in some ways. But this guy at this like CVS store like just randomly gave it to my dad like 10 years ago or so, and then my dad gave it to me, which was really cool. And there's like some like different prayers and stuff in there that are some people might not be open to, but the knowledge in there is just like so outside the box. So like, okay, now use potato skins to cure your cough, or like they just use a lot of different kitchen things that you would normally have in your kitchen. They use so they combine food and herbs together for healing, and so
which is I really love that.
Yeah, it has more like not grassroots, but granny medicine as well in there.
Yeah, and that's I think when people think about herbalism, they're thinking about complicated, more exotic, like it's sort of out of reach, but it's actually the opposite. Like it's great, it's
and
right
sometimes
there.
The medicine you need is like right outside your yard, like dandelions that we spray is like
it's on the bottle of the weed killer. The dandelion. I'm like,
and it's one of the biggest and most important herbs in the United States, because I think actually because we are so far away from having bitters in our diet.
Yeah.
So we don't have bitters in our diets. We have a lot of sweets. And so the bitters from the leaves, I think, will really help with our, our livers and stuff. And that's why we can get very, have a lot of anger issues in this culture and aggression, because our liver is so out of whack, and because we're not using bitters, and it can come out as aggressiveness. And, as well as the root is beneficial. So yeah, you can use all parts of it, and it grows everywhere. And so it's like some of the herbs you might need might be just, maybe not if you live in a city, but
well, actually, I guess it depends. But here I live in pretty much downtown Asheville, and there's people's front gardens are just bursting with comfrey and yarrow and because there's cleavers everywhere, and and some people know what they are, and other people I've seen, they're just mowing it and weed eating it, and you're like, oh, but echinacea, mullein, rosemary, there's so much. I mean, it might if you're in a different city, it might be different. Asheville's
Yeah, I mean,
very
even honeysuckle, like even the
honeysuckle.
honeysuckle is actually, actually the flower is actually really helpful for COVID. Um,
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah, so even just like the stuff that is invasive, we're wondering like we should go dive deeper and not just be like you're invasive. Why
Yeah.
is it invasive, and why is it this medicine here to showing up for us? Just like what is that called? That takes over the
The
forest.
kudzu.
Kudzu, yeah, kudzu.
Kudzu. Yep.
It's great for alcoholism. The root is
Mhm.
helping for stop alcoholism, as well as it's good for Lyme's disease. So those are
Oh,
both
okay. Yeah.
really beneficial for this culture, and so that's why it's showing up. And I always hoped that someday, like someone with a lot of money would dig up all the kudzu and save the forest, as well as like I just think it's important to
Right.
why if invasive species are here, look at them instead of spraying them and being like,
Yeah.
why are they taking over? And let's use them. And
You
so
know,
start an industry of invasive species and like use the medicine that is
that's a
abundantly showing up for us.
that's a great idea. You know, that's a whole way of doing like an herbal medicinal business. You know, just concentrating on like the kudzu and the you know, I think a lot of people think that the honeysuckle is invasive, and let's see. Heather, are you talking about privet? Privet? Heather's like, have you ever used that plant? I have never heard of that plant. Have you heard of?
I've heard of it, but I haven't
Okay.
used it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have you used it, Heather? You can make kudzu flower jelly. Ooh. That sounds amazing.
I love jelly. My granny, speaking of granny medicine, she made a lot of jelly. I've never made it myself, but
I've never made it either, and I unfortunately wasn't that close with my grandma because she was in New York and we were here, and I never got a chance, but yeah, jelly's great, and I've also never made it. I've been making honeys. On a tangent note, I made ginger honey and I made garlic honey. So just
I like
pretty,
rose honey too.
Ooh, that's awesome. Yeah, and a lot of the honeys are all good for, like, every time I read about a honey, it's like, this is good for coughs and colds. Like, so I feel like a majority of the honeys either have that or at least the ones I've been reading about, or like the rose for like the heartache and it's invading my yard. Oh, okay, Heather. So you must make some flower jelly and send it to all of us.
Yeah. And so, yeah, speaking of heartache, I wrote an article on gardening for your heart. So if you want to dive deeper at all into heart medicine and herbs specifically for the heart, crystals specifically for the heart, flower essence specifically for the heart, you can find that article. And it's published on the Elephant Journal. And
see, I can also, it's on your website, right?
It's on my my Facebook page.
But I have it also on your website.
No,
not
on my website. I need to put it. Oh, no. The blog is on my website.
The blog, yes.
Yes. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yes.
So let me see. I'm gonna try to post this link, and
nice.
Well, that's
perfect.
the link. But it should also show up as a comment. So everyone can. Let me check the face. Yes. So everyone will be able to click on that link, and you can go to the gardening for your heart article. It's pretty awesome. Actually, my first encounter with like any herbs for the heart was well, when me and my like husband, we had broken up and we were like long distance for a while, and someone gave me hawthorn. It's like a glycerin, and hawthorn
Nice.
is good for your heart and also your heart. Like it's good for your physical heart and your good for
Energetic.
heartbreak, yeah, as well. And so I was like, oh, okay. So that was my first experience with that. So
Yeah, definitely. Hawthorn is such good medicine because like also it creates healthy boundaries too around your heart with those thorns and
yeah, it's a
so energetic.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, energetically it's supportive in that way. So it's a really good boundary around your heart as well as it supports in opening it and mending it. And then for like basic things like heart palpitations, um, people are well is great. So it supports that, but you need a higher dose for that kind of medicine for heart
Something a
cancer
little
and for heart
stronger than like
palpitations.
kind of
Yeah,
tea.
like an
Um,
extract.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I was gonna say that the tree has these huge thorns,
Mm-hmm.
like um, yeah, and it's crazy to see. Like they're human. A tree, just a thorny tree, which of course it's a thorny tree, but then you don't really realize it until you like see it, and you're like, oh, it's a thorny tree.
Yeah, so you can
Wow.
use like the flower for medicine, for like flower essences and or for teas, but you can also a lot of people use the berries, and the berries have like so much medicine in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um. So, what what do you love about herbalism? We probably have talked somewhat about that, but yeah. What are some of the things you really, really, really like about it?
Well, I love that it connects me to my like ancient ancestry and the so I love that. I love that reconnecting to my intuitive self, and the herbs connect me to my intuitive self. And they ask me to slow down, and they which I love about herbalism is that it can you can't just like it's not I mean you can, but it's not great to just like harvest really quickly and be disconnected from your body. Like I think it's like it fully it helps you become more fully embodied and intuitive, and that's what I really love about it is then that therefore it benefits your life in other ways. Um,
Me
yeah,
really.
it's just empowering to it's just empowering to be like to especially like to like be able to take care of yourself and not have to
Yeah.
rely on doctors. And even though I love doctors and I'm super grateful for them and nurses and everyone, I'm so grateful. And it's really beneficial for prevention and for maintenance and healing to have the herbs as well. And there's also great herbalists, I mean, great nurses out there that are
Hmm.
herbalists as well, which I think is such a beautiful combination.
I had
And
one in my herb class. So,
yeah, so
yeah.
that is really cool because it is helpful to have, as herbalists, to have a bridge with the medical system and not shut it out, and to know what what medications herbs contradict, because sometimes you do need to be aware of what herbs don't go with certain pharmaceutical medications and what benefits. So sometimes you might just want to do a flower essence, like something gentle,
Right.
instead of like a tincture or tea. But yeah, so I love herbalism because it's self-sustaining. Um, it has many layers,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's
Seems like,
empowering, and it's just therapeutic to even and to grow the herbs. I really love growing herb gardens, and I've started many herb gardens for other people, and so that's one way I've been showing up as a herbalist is just growing, um, purchasing herbs and making herb gardens for other people and
that's really
teaching them
awesome.
how to make. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's empowering. Just like victory gardens right now are kind of coming back because we realize how much we rely on the grocery store and um, others, and it's really nice to grow your own food and get away just from growing grass. So
Yeah, I really, I really wish that we would grow more gardens, and I don't think there's
It's
anything.
happening.
Yeah, which is good. Because we go to the grocery store now, and they're out of things. They're out of garlic. They're just and the system
Yeah.
is like it's really fragile, but it is nice to just know how to do these things. It feels good to do things for yourself.
Hmm.
It gives back to yourself, um, instead of taking away. I think that we live in a society that takes a lot out of us. It's a take, and we don't give a lot back to ourselves, or we don't know how to do it. So I
Yeah,
think that is something that is really important, and yeah. So
definitely. And just like even it can be simple, it can be like um, cutting some aromatherapy, like some flowers from your yard and putting it in a bath and getting in that bath. It can be that simple. And I know it can, for folks that are new to this, it can feel really overwhelming at times,
mhm.
because it is a broad and big topic and big, but it can be just as like, but don't let it scare you. Like it can be just
Right,
as simple
yeah,
as picking some herbs from, some flowers or herbs from your yard and just putting it into your bath, and that can really be helpful.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Or or get this is a really good book. This is a Rosemary Gladstars, for beginners, and there's a lot of kitchen herbs in here. So you could just, and there's a lot of recipes, and it's a good place to just sort of start uh, learning about them and how to use them, I think, and how to incorporate them. There's a yeah, there's a lot of um, you know, simple ways to use herbs. I
Yep.
think we just Heather says grow food, not lawns. Yes.
Yes.
Yay. Mm. And Heather also put up your website. Um, no, your Facebook. So your Facebook. There's a
Awesome.
link.
Thank you.
So um, and um, so any. I think we're going to jump into talking about Blue Ridge Healers Without Borders, because we've almost been on for an hour. um, so, what is Blue Ridge Healers Without Borders? What's it about? What's its sort of mission, goals? All that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I started Blue Ridge Healers Without Borders after I went to herb school, and that was like, I can't remember, 5 years ago, I think. And so Blue Ridge Healers Without Borders is like has similar um, ethics and grounding like Doctors Without Borders, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more like herbalist from like all types of like all types of healers. So there's acupuncturists, there's massage therapists, there's herbalists, um, there's a whole group of different types, and that we also were at one point an umbrella under Herbalists Without Borders. And so at the moment we aren't anymore. Now we're just more free, and we're looking for another umbrella or going back to them. But yeah, we are basically a group of volunteers at this point, that do free wellness days in centers that reach the homeless and low income people, and we provide free care. And so we provide free, sound healing, free free teas. We provide free acupuncture or massage, and so at the moment we're on pause, like
Yeah.
in that aspect.
Yeah.
But we are moving right now. We're in distribution. So I've been picking up donations from Gaia Herbs. So
Oh,
I've been
okay.
spreading out
Awesome.
like different teas to the BIPOC community. And so that's people of color and indigenous peoples. So I've been giving teas to them as well. And I'm also picking up a big order of hand sanitizer that we'll be bringing to the Cherokee Nation this week.
Yeah, because
And
the Indians, the native population, have been pretty hard hit by the virus.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, like
So they so now we're more in distribution and
okay,
just in giving out medicines and hand sanitizer and such. And so yeah, we kind of just are we're flexible in that way as what we see what could we ask what community needs, and that's what we how we show up. We don't go say like from a savior mentality like this is what you need, and so that's
right,
why we're adaptable. So we kind of and so my goal with Blue Ridge Healers Without Borders is for it to become a nonprofit on its own
oh,
and
awesome,
be
okay,
able to get more larger funding and have a board members.
okay,
And so I like to have board members and have and also be able to pay the healers and continue to give out free healing. But because that's what kind of gets the trouble with making this is why this has gone up and down in waves. Is
yeah,
because we don't have the funding to pay healers, and so people get burnt out. And so I think a goal would be able to pay healers and organizers like me and others so that it can become self-sustaining and so that we can continue to give out free education, free healing. And so we also want to build systems so that folks don't become reliant on it, and we can also learn
right,
from them. So we want to build like herb gardens and not just hand out, tea. So we want to build herb gardens in communities and community gardens and make sure they have access to healthy water and schools and stuff like that. And so help support communities have foundations as well as teaching classes on how to make teas and having opportunities for them to teach us and educate us because we have a lot to learn from each other, and it's a two-way street. And so I also want to do trainings on how to communicate with each other in a healthy form that is not demeaning.
yeah, because that sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like I was trying to think about like how I got involved, and I couldn't remember. I was like I could not remember how I
I think
at
we
all,
had a
but
medicine making day or something, and you came
that
for the
just
medicine
came.
making. I think that's what it was. We were making medicine we were going to distribute.
Yeah, I don't, but I just thought I was like, I don't remember. Did I see a flyer? Did
Oh,
I just don't know. So yes, I've been involved, and that's how I met Deanna. Um, and I would like to be involved more. So hopefully in the future, I will be able to do that. And I love the vision, and I would love to see it do all those things, and they're definitely needed. We have a lot of divisions between socioeconomic groups and races still, or we're very divided, or in our little bubbles, and we're not communicating, and we're all people. So there's just need to still break all those barriers down, and and definitely, with the gaps in the healthcare system, there's just so much need for us to do more of this type of work and stuff like that. Yeah. So I mean, you can't, you can all and if you just eat more, and health, and even preventative health can start just eating more vegetables. Like there's a lot of people who eat like way too many ramen noodles because they're poor, they can't afford it.
Yeah, and that's why setting up the gardens
Yeah.
and those communities are really supportive. But us not run like having them run it and
Yeah.
them getting their hands in the dirt and
Yeah.
taking over and
Also
or
for
provide or what us giving land back.
yeah. Yeah,
So
being
I
able to
know
like
that's
purchase
radical. Is
it and
like,
like give it.
but like
Yeah.
white folks of privilege giving land back to indigenous people
That would be
and Black
awesome.
communities because they have actually built up this. They're the ones that we have to pay back.
Yeah.
For the white people's success.
Yeah.
So we definitely have.
Yeah.
It's time to give some land back.
Yeah.
So
that would be amazing. I'm gonna read some comments. So let's see. Hold on. Okay, so Mari. Okay. I've grown a full herb garden, even vegetable like tomato, chili, strawberries, and even potatoes on my windowsill.
nice.
In my indoor garden since I've lived in the middle of a big city. So that's awesome. So you can do a lot with what you have, even I guess if you have a tiny space. Yeah, you can get one of those buckets that hang over the window. So there's just really a lot you can do. And then
nice job.
Yeah. And then she also says nothing better than to pick your salads directly from your window and the herbs growing with it. Yeah, it just feels really good. Something about, also it's supposed to be really good for your mental health to get your hands in the soil and everything else. And I know I feel better when I'm outside, or even if I'm like driving outside the city and I'm going past a bunch of, my parents used to live out in Alexander, so they lived out in sort of the more country area, and you just go out there and you're like, and I'm just driving past the trees. So it's just really nice to just see the green, just even if you're in a car. Something about that, like, gives, I don't know. So it gets me concerned that there is so much that is getting built up. And I feel like we just need to save these spaces because they are important. They don't always have to be a 7-Eleven or something.
Yeah, land conservancy is where it's at. And there are great programs for that in this area. I'm not sure about other places as much, but conserving land so that's never built on, which is really important.
Yeah.
To conserve. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Heather says, I love my garden. Yes, I know that, Heather. You have an awesome garden. I think so. How can somebody, if they're interested, and now, so Blue Ridge Healers Without Borders right now is very local, but how could someone get involved if they're interested? Heather put up the Facebook group page.
Oh, thank you. Awesome.
So there's a link up there in the comments, or the chat, sorry. So yes, how can they get involved? And is there a way, if you're not local, to still get involved?
So you can contact me through my email, which is songbirdsrosetoFly@gmail.com. But at this point, I really feel like if you don't live locally, it's like more through funding.
Okay.
We do need funding, and as well as just like Yeah, so if you have advice, like if you're a lawyer and you have advice on creating nonprofits, ways to people that are interested in being a board member. If you are a nonprofit, that would want to be our umbrella for now before we become a nonprofit, so that we can accept bigger donations. So ways like that.
And then if you are local, and I know that we're a little limited right now because of all the social distancing, but if you are local, how could you get involved?
Yeah, so right now we're needing distributors, people that help disperse the medicines. So people that can drive and drop off at certain places.
Okay. So if anyone wants to do that, contact Deanna. And also
or donate if you have
donate.
like herbal products to donate as well.
Awesome. So do you have... Okay. So if anyone has any questions for Deanna, please put it in the comments. Thank you. Heather put up your email.
Thank you, Heather.
So please put them in the comments. And so just any advice for anyone wanting to get into herbalism?
So I guess one advice, just like to start off with a beginner's kind of herbal book. I would say like Rosemary Gladstar or something gentle, or one of the books you also recommended. And then also not just stick it in your head about it too. So just like intuitively start like noticing, like going on walks and noticing what herbs call out to you, and then doing your own research. Like, so if like rose or different or violet, or different herbs that call out to you. Maybe violet, like for instance, like violet leaves have a lot of vitamin C in them. So there's even basic stuff that just like start slowing down in your walks and start noticing and start connecting, and then doing your own research, just like a Google, or open your new book, like what is this herb for? And so just like start noticing what is calling out to you. And the more you notice, the more they will appear for you. So I would definitely say come at it from a stance of intuition and just trust that you might know what you need already. So and just sense that you really like, ooh, I love this honeysuckle, and kind of like dive into that.
What's going on with it, right?
Yeah, just be inquisitive and be aware, like slow down enough to be aware and see what the earth is sharing with you.
Because we have been touching on this subject. It can be very overwhelming, and foreign, and just kind of like, it's a little easier now that the internet is here. So you could watch a video, you could Google, you can, and it's very safe.
Yeah, and I believe Rosemary also just suggests like starting off with just getting to know 5 herbs really well, and just get to know them like really well, and not get overwhelmed with like 20, like trying to get to know 20 different ones at once. And starting off with 5, like the 5 that call out to you, and just so it can just be like simple stuff too, just like even chamomile can go a long way. So
because every herb does a lot of stuff. Like if you look at an herb book, it's like this herb does this and this and this and this. So like usually, there's a lot to, you're going to get a lot of mileage out of you're going to get a lot out of those 5 herbs or that one herb that you start with.
Definitely.
So, and even me, like I'm, definitely like, I also have the same, that's really the process that I go through. It's sort of like, ooh, what's that one? And then you do more research about it.
Yeah, and different stuff will show up at different times in your life. Well, sometimes that herb is no longer good for us later on. And
Yeah.
so being flexible with listening, like when we like don't need a herb anymore, and new herbs to bring in. So it's fun.
Yeah, it's always
It's a
changing.
never ending like education. It's like a whole life. You can there's so many different layers,
There
which it
are.
makes it really fun.
There are. It's just very crunchy. Um, okay. Well, I don't think anyone had any questions, but is there anything that you want to add or talk about? Um, yeah, because we didn't, we touched, we do sound healing and gardening but anyway, but if there's anything else you wanted to add. Oh, thank you. Heather says wonderful, guys. Thank you, Heather. Yeah.
Let's see. I can't think of anything I wanted to add. We covered a lot.
We did.
Yeah, if you want to reach me, you can find me on my website, deannarose.org, and you can find me at my email, songbirdsrosetofly@gmail.com.
And I did, yeah, there's a link to her website in the description. And there's always, okay, so Mari asks, there's always this. What's this herb I've never seen before? Yes. Exactly. That is, yesterday there was an herb that my friend brought up, and it's a desert herb, so, it doesn't grow over here. And she brought that up, and I'm like, I'm not familiar with that herb. Or we're doing, I have a herbal book club, so we're reading through this book here. And
nice.
She lives in New Mexico, so there's always herbs that don't grow in the mountains that come up throughout this book, so we're always looking that up. And then I have some people from one lady mentioned an herb from Ireland and asked what it was, and we were looking it up, and it's actually just a non-medicinal plant. But she was like, what is that one? And it's just this shrub that the sheep like to eat, so just these things. Because we were talking about goldenrod, and she was like, is this goldenrod? And I was like, no, but what is, so it's just like, that is kind of the rabbit hole that one still, goes on. It just keeps going. So
yep.
Herbs can be reasonable for sure. Yes, Heather. And then it starts again with research. Yes. So it's a constant learning, and that's what, that keeps it interesting. So just
definitely.
And there's also things like botany. There's so many things that are connected with this herbalism umbrella thing. Yeah, cool. All right. Well,
thank you for having me. I really appreciate you giving me a voice and giving me opportunity to share, and so I'm very grateful.
Well, thank you for coming on this first of hopefully more interviews, and talking about herbalism and all kinds of other things. So and it's been good to connect. So check out Deanna's website, and Blue Witch Healers Without Borders, and and you could look at my stuff. I have a Etsy shop, Sibo Herbs, and then I also Yes. So, and then we have the Herbal Book Club. If you're interested in a very slow herbal book club where we like don't read a book a month, we meet every week and we just read a little section and, you know, talk about it. I'll put a link somewhere. But yeah. So, all right. Well, oh, thank you, Heather. Says good job. Heather is she does our book club with us, so you know, and anyway. Okay. I never know how to end. I keep rambling. But let's okay. So but I think I'd like this to be a regular thing, but I just don't know. I think it's going to depend on, you know, when the herbalist schedule is. So it might not have a regular time, but hopefully we'll have a regular thing. So I'd like to talk with more herbalists and, you know, get a more regular discussion about herbs and, you know, and everything else. So, Maria, hello. Thank you so much. Love the interview. Success for you both. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm glad you guys love that. I love it. Like it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is usually when I need to end because I'm like, woo. So we're going to sign off.
That was fun.
Yay! And I'll see you guys next time. And we will be live Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern for the book club. So if anyone wants to join us for that, you don't need the book. If you don't have the book, don't worry about it because, you know, I read a little bit and we discuss it. So of course the book is awesome, so you get the book if you want, but you don't need it. So very low bar of entry on that. So all right. So bye. Okay.